In this presentation, we're going to educate you about the women of the Bible in a way that you may have never experienced before. History, as we know it, has been rewritten, rearranged, reorganized, revised, and outright fabricated. It has been taught in a way that is not true to biblical history. When you consider the geographical location and setting of most Bible stories, you will begin to understand what has taken place. Also, consider what those of recent times have changed to confuse the minds of the whole entire world. One of the biggest and most notable changes is the fact that the human landscape has changed profusely. Go with us on this amazing journey of discovery and education.
Through the movie industry, a false narrative has been accepted worldwide. Because of this, many believe that to present biblical characters as black is not accurate when in all actuality, the false narratives are the white images that have now been widely accepted. The truth about world history does matter, and to say that it doesn't is utter hypocrisy. If it didn't matter, then why was there this massive effort to revise history? During the Renaissance and Reconstruction period, revisionists were very adamant about changing the text to reflect how they would have liked history to have been, versus what actually took place. Many today consider it divisive to try and right the wrongs of the lies that have been passed down through history. These lies were taught to deceive the masses, but are now unraveling. Jeremiah 16 verse 19. O Lord, my strength, and my fortress, and my refuge in the day of affliction, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, Surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit.
Abihail was the wife of King Rehoboam, who ruled over the kingdom of Judah after the death of his father, King Solomon. She was the daughter of Eliab, David's brother, and the mother of Rehoboam's wife, Mahalath. There is not much information available about her in the Bible, but being the wife of a king is definitely noteworthy for those of us reading about these women today. You can find a biblical reference to Abihail in 2 Chronicles 11 verse 18.
Jezebel was the wife of King Ahab, who ruled the kingdom of Israel. She opposed the worship of the Hebrew god Yahuwah, neglected the rights and well-being of her subjects, and challenged the great prophets Elijah and Elisha, which led to internal conflict that plagued Israel for decades. Jezebel influenced Ahab to worship Baal, a nature god, and sought to destroy those who questioned her. Most of the prophets of Yahuwah were murdered at her request. Elijah predicted a severe drought as divine retribution against Jezebel. Elijah later had the Baal priest killed after they had failed in a contest with him to see which god would answer their prayers to inflame a bull offering, Baal or Yahuwah. When Jezebel learned of the killing, she furiously vowed to have Elijah killed, forcing him to flee for his life. The story of Jezebel will require much more time and space to unpack the wickedness attached to this woman.
Did you know that the Most High compared the children of Israel to the inhabitants of Ethiopia? In Amos chapter 9 verse 7, it says, Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel, saith the Lord? Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and the Syrians from Kir? This verse directly links the children of Israel with the African continent in more ways than one.
Mary and Martha were two sisters who lived in Bethany, near Jerusalem. They were followers of Yahushua, the one whom the world calls Jesus, and had him in their home many times. They also had a brother named Lazarus, whom Yahushua raised from the dead. The most well-known story about Mary and Martha is found in Luke 10 verses 38 to 421. In this story, Martha was busy with preparing the meal and serving the guests, while Mary sat at Jesus' feet and listened to his teaching. Martha complained to Yahushua that Mary was not helping her, but Yahushua told her that Mary had chosen the better part and it would not be taken away from her. This story shows the contrast between two different ways of relating to Yahusha, one that is focused on doing and serving, and one that is focused on being and learning. Yahusha did not condemn Martha for her hospitality, but he pointed out that she was worried and distracted by many things, while only one thing was needed: to listen to his word and follow him. Mary, on the other hand, showed her devotion and love for Yahusha by giving him her full attention and priority. Ohola and Oholibah are symbolic names given by the prophet Ezekiel to the cities of Samaria and Jerusalem, respectively. They represent the unfaithfulness and idolatry of the northern and southern kingdoms of Israel, who played the whore with the Assyrians, Babylonians, and Egyptians. They also suffered the consequences of their sin, as they were attacked, captured, and killed by their lovers. Ezekiel used this allegory to warn the exiles in Babylon of the coming judgment of God and the need for repentance.
Rebekah was the daughter of Bethuel, the great niece of Abraham, and the sister of Laban. She became the wife of Isaac, the promised son of Abraham and Sarah, and bore two sons, Esau and Jacob. And the Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you shall be divided, the one shall be stronger than the other, the older shall serve the younger." She deceived her husband Isaac by sending Jacob to him in place of Esau, who was the firstborn. She was also a woman of faith and courage, who followed God's will and helped Jacob receive the blessing. She is one of the four matriarchs of Israel and an ancestor to Yahusha, the one whom the world calls Jesus Christ.
In another segment of Did You Know? It is also important to note the following. Ham was the second son of Noah and the father of Cush, Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan, according to the book of Genesis. He and his family were among the survivors of the great flood that the Most High sent to destroy the wickedness of humanity. Ham's descendants are traditionally associated with the peoples of Africa and parts of Asia. Ham's descendants are interpreted by Josephus and others as having populated Africa and adjoining parts of Asia. The Bible refers to Egypt as the land of Ham in Psalm 78:51, 105:23-27, 106:22, 1 Chronicles 4:40. Notice how the above statement points out that Ham and his descendants populated Africa and the adjoining parts of Asia, meaning that the African continent, the lands in between, and Asia were once connected before the creation of the Suez Canal.
Bilhah and Zilpah were concubines of Jacob and were handmaids of both Rachel and Leah. Rachel struggled to conceive and bear a child for Jacob and suggested that her handmaid, Bilhah, would sit on her knees so that she could have children through her. Bilhah gave birth to two sons, Dan and Naphtali, whom Rachel claimed as her own children. Zilpah became the mother of Gad and Asher. Their sons represent 4 of the 12 tribes of Israel. Jochebed was a Hebrew woman who lived in Egypt during the time of Pharaoh's oppression. She was the mother of Aaron, Miriam, and Moses, whom she saved from being killed by hiding him in a basket on the Nile River. She was also the wife of Amram, and the daughter of Levi, one of the sons of Jacob. She was said to have nursed Moses as a baby while the Pharaoh's daughter presented and raised him as her own child.
Anna was a prophetess from the tribe of Asher and was very old, believed to be 84 years of age. She had been a widow for many years and lived in the temple as a prophetess, fasting and praying daily. And there was one Anna, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel, of the tribe of Aser. She was of a great age, and had lived with an husband 7 years from her virginity, and she was a widow of about 84 years, which departed not from the temple, but served God with fastings and prayers night and day. And she coming in that instant gave thanks likewise unto the Lord, then spake of him to all them that looked for redemption in Jerusalem.
Did you know that the Suez Canal is a man-made waterway? It connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea through the Isthmus of Suez. It enables an easier direct route for shipping between Europe and Asia, allowing vessels to bypass the lengthy circumnavigation of the African continent. The canal spans 120 miles from Port Said on the Mediterranean Sea in Egypt to the city of Suez on the northern shores of the Gulf of Suez. Owned and operated by the Suez Canal Authority, it serves ships of all countries for both commerce and war purposes. Some have said the creation of the Suez Canal has helped to further the deception of the identity of the 12 tribes of Israel. By claiming the wrong group of people today as the children of Israel, many look for reasons to validate the manipulation. Separating the direct route on foot from Israel into the continent of Africa gives some the idea that there was never a connection. This has created a stumbling block for some in determining who the 12 tribes of Israel are today. By making the canal, it seemingly disconnects the land of Israel from the African continent. If you remember in the Bible, Yahusha, the one who the world calls Jesus, was taken to the land of Egypt by his parents on foot. They fled there and hid among the ancient Egyptian people, who were black. This is why knowing the true identity of the ancient Egyptians is very important so that stories such as this make sense. The Egyptians left a vast photo album on the walls of Egypt, thus validating biblical references to both them and the Israelites as being people of color.
Delilah was a Philistine woman who was sent by the Philistine rulers to deceive Samson. The goal was to find out the secret of Samson's strength and find a way to destroy and defeat him. Samson was an Israelite leader who lusted after Delilah and fell in love with her, but she was instructed by the Philistines to betray him. She convinced him to reveal to her that the secret of his strength was his hair. Armed with that information, she was able to take advantage of his confidence in her and betray him to his enemies. This should serve as a very clear example to men that a lustful, deceitful woman can be a trap and a snare to your life. Also, that laying aside your biblical and righteous principles can ultimately lead to your destruction.
Elgah was one of the wives of King David during his reign in Hebron. She was the mother of his son, Ithrim. No further information is given concerning Elgah other than some speculative information that cannot be confirmed in the Hebrew Bible. However, being the wife of King David is noteworthy enough for her to be mentioned in the Bible and other research materials.
Reclaiming our rightful history and uncovering all of the false information that has flooded the world is essential to our understanding and growth. However, it doesn't come without challenges. Many vehemently reject the truth of history because it greatly uproots the foundation they stand on. It makes them feel as though the carpet is being yanked out from underneath them and they are no longer able to stand. It is a powerless feeling. So rather than to accept the truth, they fantasize and romanticize an alternative history that is not true but more acceptable to their understanding.
It is okay to research your own history and not be made to feel divisive for doing so. Our history is very important and would help us to better understand certain aspects of our lives today. The modern-day misrepresentations and portrayals of ancient people, ancient lands, and ancient cultures were prophesied. In the book of Maccabees, it states the following, 1 Maccabees 3:48. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. You can now own a copy of our more than 200 pages of colorful, realistic portrayals of the women of the Bible that is more historically correct than what is circulated through movies, television, and printed media. Each woman has her own story and scriptural references to help you with your biblical studies. Order your copy today by visiting www.thewomenofthebible.com.